Hello, Mr. White.
Hey, Miss Singleton.
How you doing?
How you doing? The press conference is about to start. Where are you at?
Okay.
I'm on my way.
Okay, see you soon. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's press conference. Mr. White is en route, and I'll be happy to take any questions that you may have.
Madam Secretary, is it true that Mr. White supports DLM?
Well, dope lyrics do matter.
Madam Secretary, is Chris White the future of rap music?
As a matter of fact, here he is right now.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Good evening, everyone. All right, I'd like to welcome you all to my press conference today. Thank you, Madam Secretary, for holding it down. I see we have a lot of representation from the press. Do I have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. White. My question is, our world is in such a state of confusion. How are your dope lyrics going to bring clarity and healing?
You know what? Let me say it like this.
Okay.
Check, 1, 2. I figured since we live where morals no longer matter, shout out to all the conservatives who voted for the pudding grabber. Rapper to pastor, I don't care if you're fake. You could get this work, I don't discriminate. Pardon moi, but ever since my man died, I realized life is way too short. I don't have time to play. Every time I ever bit my tongue, I felt pain. And they say it's insane to keep doing the same thing. So I'ma let it hang and let the chips fall. Forget y'all feelings when y'all ain't never done nothing to feed my children. Refuse to lift a finger when they see me building. Now they wanna kick their feet up in my man cave. Chillin', leaning all on the sofa with a drink on the coaster, inching closer cause they keep seeing my name on the posters, posting like their own team when they wouldn't even stream and share my music with their friends when I was trying to get exposure, asking, hey, when can I come over, get in the studio? Never, not near it one time. You know where you could go, don't make me say it. I'ma stay saved like K-Joe. About my business though, I'ma stay paid and lay low. With a bag of chips, I dip in crypto. I blow the whistle on violators, I earn my stripes. I'm the official, I can wipe my hind part with the game like a tissue, but I have nothing to prove. So really, it's not an issue. Steps are ordered on the mission. God told me to come and get you. So rest in peace, Carolina Black dude, I miss you. And I'ma drop your name every now and then just to keep your legacy alive. Make sure they never forget you. So much promise and potential. To me, you were instrumental. Saturated in my vision like an oil that's essential in this. Readers and leaders call me Mr. Fundamental Tim Duncan. But instead of buckets, I be dropping wisdom I gain. Spending time in his presence with the scriptures on the canvas of your mind. I'm great to paint a picture so vivid. Each line's like 1,000 words. I'm so ahead of my time that I sound absurd. While some were hunting rhyming words, nouns and verbs, I was being humiliated, learning how to serve. Practice, I hold the title of a trill MC. Now we can both wear the belt, but to what degree? My penmanship was found in the depths of the sea. There are levels I don't think you wanna go this deep. Now double check yourself, or you wreck yourself. I handle disrespect like, oh my drink. With a fist full of hair, I'ma keep it funky with you, put your nose in it. Since you think stuff don't stink, pride comes before a fall. If you're feeling gigantic, remember the Titanic. Now let that sink.
Welcome back. Welcome back. You're tuning in to another episode of Introducing with Chris White. Welcome to this special Labor Day edition. Today, I have a very special guest. I'm going to be doing an interview with a very good friend of mine. I consider him a brother, Alki Thompson of Smith and Deale Associates. Alki is a man of many talents, but for today's show, We're going to be talking about his career as a 14-year recruiter, career coach, and a resume writer. So many other things I could say about him, but I'm going to kind of let him um, share what he wants to share with my audience today. So without further ado, put your hands together and give a warm virtual welcome to my brother from another mother, Alki Thompson.
What's going on, man?
Hey, man. Welcome to the show, man. I've been trying to get you up here for a while, man. Glad we were finally able to make this thing work.
Yes, indeed, man. Appreciate it. Good to be here.
All right. So, Al, I know it's a holiday. Hopefully, we caught some people who would normally be at work while they're at home, or some people who may be looking for a job. This would be a great segment for them to tune in because you are the subject matter expert on that. So, as we get started here, Alki, I want you to tell the people kind of like so where you're from and where you're at now.
Yeah, man. Originally from Eastern North Carolina, down the street from you, not too far away, and currently residing in Northern Virginia in the DC and DMV area.
Okay. All right. How's life in DC, man?
Normally it's amazing, but right now we're dealing with some turbulence and some traffic.
All right. So I know that was a loaded question, man. We gonna move on from that. So Alki, I was reading your resume. It says that you are an executive recruiter and the owner of Smith and Deale Associates. And Smith and Deale is an executive search firm based out of Alexandria, Virginia. So, if you don't mind, kind of tell us like how and why did you start Smith and Deale? Like, where did that brainchild come from?
Yeah, man. So growing up, down where you're from, you learn how to work hard. You don't have a choice. Work isn't an option, or it shouldn't be. And that work ethic that I was born with. My grandfather said something to me a long time ago. He said, "Work smart, not hard." So I kind of pocketed that. Went through my career, worked for a lot of nonprofits, worked for a lot of youth and community, and needed to make a career change, just for better income, more opportunities, especially here in DC, because, it ain't cheap, as most people know, to live here. So, I had a good career in the nonprofit space, but I wanted to go back to school, finish a degree that I started. So I went back to school, went to University of Maryland, and pursued a business degree, and decided to take some human resources courses because human resources, I said I could do that anywhere, but I also have always had a heartbeat, of doing my own thing and also being a consultant so that I could, help businesses, help companies. And I went down that track, bumped into another recruiter at a human resources event. We were talking, she hired me on the spot to be her recruiting associate, and I never looked back. That was 14 years ago. And since then, I've worked in-house recruitment. I've worked for the #1 staffing agency in the world. Worked for a couple of other smaller agencies. I've been an independent recruiter. And, to your question, I've helped people while working inside of companies, but there's limitations to that I didn't want to be bound by. So I started my own thing so that I can, help myself better and also help other people in ways that a lot of staffing agencies and in-house recruitment can't do.
Awesome. So you kind of told me a little bit about how you got into recruiting. So I'm not going to ask you that again, but could you go into depth a little bit about how exactly you through Smith and Deale are able to specifically help job seekers or even employers who are looking for talent?
Yeah, man, good question. So as you mentioned, we do three things at Smith and Deal, three main things. I'm a recruiter first and foremost. I'll always be a recruiter. So the biggest thing that I do with Smith and Deal is recruit. I help companies, employers, organizations find talent, and I help them with their process, with their interview process. Finding people from sometimes from job posting to job offer, and helping them negotiate offers, helping them with their interview schedule and calendars. So that's the big service that I do. I also do contract recruitment. On the job seeker side, we help people on the career coaching and advising side. So if you're going through a career transition, changing careers, not sure where to go next, not sure how to, present your resume, if you need tips to interview, if you want to know how to negotiate a job offer, if you want to talk through, what industries you should be in or you should get out of, all those types of questions, I answer those for people, provide career guidance. And then, when it comes to resumes, I can do everything from build a resume from scratch if you haven't updated it in forever, tweaks, small tweaks, and also kind of career branding to help your resume stand out compared to all the other people in the job market.
Yeah. Well, speaking on that career branding, like, what is a couple of things that people can do to kind of give them an edge, or help them to stand out to get that job? Especially with you know um, unemployment being higher than normal. It's got to be really competitive. Like, what would be a couple of things you would recommend that a person do to kind of give them an edge?
Yeah. So one of the things that I coach candidates around and job seekers is standing out. You got to be different. You got to be different than everybody else that's out there, and you got to be better. And you also need to present yourself better. And worst case scenario, you don't need to look like everybody else. So, as a recruiter, for example, when I was working in-house recruitment for like a company, when I worked in the on the HR team, I could have easily 25 different open jobs or open vacancies and be working on 25 different recruitments at a time. For each one of those, I could have anywhere from 50 to 250 applicants or candidates from each one. So if you multiply that, you can do the math to see we don't get a lot of time to look at everybody's resume. You don't have time to interview and call everybody and talk on the phone just to find out that a person is not qualified. So the name of the game for the job search is standing out.
Mm.
And then it comes to your experience, your capabilities, and your ability to do the job. And then lastly, fit. I mean, I talk to people all the time who are like, oh man, Alki, I know I was great for that job. I know my resume looked good. But yeah, all of that can be true. And at the end of the day, you may not be the fit that they're looking for. But to go back to what I was saying earlier, you don't even get seen if you don't stand out. And then even if you do stand out, if you don't apply early enough,
Mm.
because for any given job, there's 100 to 250 applicants for each job on average, depending on where you are, what market, and all those types of things. You may not even get seen. So the number one thing that I do at Smith and Deal is to help people stand out. You have
Yeah.
to stand out, and so um, helping
Is
people helping people with their career brand is branding yourself and what you do best is something that everybody needs to do.
Okay, I'm gonna ask one more follow-up question. I hope I'm not getting too much in the weeds of things that they need to hire you for, but is there like, I know it's probably a list of things or plethora of things, but is there some things that people do that it's like a automatically door slammed in your face type of situation? Or there's some things like some I guess some things that people frequently do that they need to stop doing.
Yeah, so let's start with the resume, because most times, since resumes, I say that resumes are the currency of the job market. And usually to get in the door, unless you know somebody who introduces you, and in that case, you arrive or you show up before your resume, which I advise, by the way.
Hmm.
But if your resume shows up before you, then yeah, you're being biased, you're being prejudiced against, you're being judged immediately. So usually, as people know, I think a lot of people are, when they apply, they're like, here it goes. I think my resume is good, but they find out later when they're not called back, oh man, maybe they didn't like my resume, or they start asking themselves questions. What did I do wrong? What was it? Was something wrong with my resume? Well, there could be a lot of things wrong. Sometimes it's not even your fault, which, by the way, I'm working on a book right now that talks about that it's not so much your fault. It's things that they're looking for that you don't have. So to your question, you could be quote unquote perfect. Your resume could be perfect, but they could have something totally different that they're highlighting, at the top of their chart. So to your point, some of the main things is starting with the resume. If you're going to apply for a role that you find online, or you have a job description, despite what everybody says, like, hey, if you're not qualified, still go for it. Not really. You can, but you need to pretty much be a 70, I really say 80. You need to match that job description bullet by bullet almost for everything they're asking for, up to about 70 to 80%. If you don't have the qualifications and your background that they're asking for, that's the first flag for us as recruiters and for hiring managers and employers. Is we hold the job description here, or your resume here, we got the job description here. When we look at the two, if they don't match, usually it's swipe left.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. So, another question for you. You being in the DMV area, that's not Department of Motor Vehicles, that's DC, Maryland, Virginia. Um, um, my question is, with you residing in the area, how has current events such as tariffs and all of these federal employee firings, how's that affected your business and the job market as a whole?
Yep, good question. So for internally for the business, on the one hand, as far as talking to employers, for me, part of what I do is I get accounts, which is I work with employers to try and win their business, meaning give Smith and Deal the opportunity to be your sole provider of recruitment and search. Let us search for you. Do your other things. You run your team, run your department. Let us handle staffing and recruiting for you, whether it's a specific position or multiple positions. Let us handle that. When there's It's really about supply and demand. So when there's a lot of supply of people in the market who have lost their jobs, and right now, just from the federal government alone, and we're not talking about federal government contractors, we're not talking about private sector, and there's been a lot of layoffs there too. But before the end of the year, by a lot of reports, there's going to be over 300,000 federal employees who are no longer employed. Here in 2025, that's 300,000 people who are hitting the job market. Now, they may not be, in your lane or someone else's lane, and fighting for jobs there, but it adds more people to the job market. You add in all the other people, or now if they're laid off, now they may not be able to make house payments and all those things. Now they got to move. Now maybe their spouse, loses their job. Their kids now don't have the funds. It floods the market. And when the supply is high like that, a lot of businesses are like, hey, Alki, we don't need to pay your fees. We got tons of talent in the market. We can do this ourselves. So that's one way of how it affects me. But the other way is I've been talking to tons and tons and tons of former federal government employees who have been terminated or laid off or given the early retirement. I don't always talk to FedGov employees, but now I am when it comes to career coaching or resumes, because they're being referred to me, or I'm finding them in some of my networking groups. I'm now working with more and more of them than I ever have before, not to mention some of the other folks from other sectors and, private sector and other spaces like that. So we're doing our best at Smith and Deal to try to help as many people as we can. A lot of them have never had to look for a job outside of the federal government. You work for agencies similar to that. A lot of them hadn't had to do a resume in 15 years. So now I'm updating resumes for folks who have to, downsize their federal government resume to a smaller 1 or 2 pager.
Yeah, and that's leading to the next question I was going to ask is um, how important is it for people to contact you, and do you find that a lot of people start digging a well after they get thirsty? Federal employees. You know, what I'm saying most of them. I've been one before. They're kind of comfortable, because you don't expect things to go left. But a lot of times nowadays, in the current climate, things seem to go left
Hmm.
more frequently. So, are you finding yourself with a bunch of people, or uh, uh, a large number of individuals who are just unprepared, and like, man, I should have contacted Smith and Deal sooner, or like what does that look like?
Yeah, man. To answer your question, the answer is yes, and not just me. Other career coaches out there, like a lot of my colleagues who do the same thing, recruiters and resume writers and career coaches in the DMV area and across the country. I was on a Zoom call with folks, other career coaches from around the country, which is kind of a tangent to the point that you asked. But I was on a call with a gentleman who was showing us how there's so many vulnerable and, to your point, desperate and shell-shocked, FedGov employees and others that scammers are taking advantage of that right now. They're posting, and they've been doing this for a while, but they post fake jobs. They post fake career coaching accounts and recruiter accounts and resume writer accounts to take advantage of some of these folks. But to your point, and to that point, when it comes to the job search, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And so
Mm.
it's one thing to be laid off or to have a heads up about, administration, coming, and this is a drastic change, and it goes beyond just federal government employees. Everybody's finding out that it has a trickle down effect to all kinds of jobs and sectors and markets and states and cities and all those types of things. So, but despite that, even in a good time, I've told people for years, keep your resume updated. And not only that, it's okay to be looking for a job when you have a job, because recruiters like me, those are the people we contact when I get a recruitment, or if I get a search from an employer, especially if it's a high level search. I'm looking for the best. I'm looking for the best people. So a lot of employers, to a lot of them, tenure and stability is important. A lot of the folks who are looking for a job, and a lot of people don't think about this, you appear more desperate to us when you're unemployed than if you have a job. So
Mm.
you've probably heard it. People have probably heard this for years. The best time to look for a job is when you have a job, for many
Man.
reasons. Many, not just because income and all that, but to us, how you appear to us. We know that you're not just going to say, "Oh yeah, I'll take anything. I can do anything." We're looking for people who are like, "Yeah, I don't really need you." I can go off on another tangent when it comes to the dating game and stuff too. That those who appear desperate sometimes appear desperate. Those who look like they're doing good by themselves, those are the folks we want to talk to.
Yeah. Oh man, that makes a lot of sense, man. And those are almost verbatim the words my grandmother told me when I was just a teenager. She said, um, "Never quit a job unless you have something to replace it with, and it's always easier to get a job when you got a job." So grandma was spot on, man.
Mhm.
Um, so I know Smith and Deal is based out of the DMV area. So are you limited to helping people in the DMV, or are you limited to a certain region, or could you help people who searching for a job or need career coaching or career branding anywhere?
No, not limited to the DMV. I recruit, and we recruit all over the country. I've even recruited some, global globally as well. But yeah, we can help anybody across the country, especially when it comes to resumes and career coaching advice, and even helping people with their job search or making placements. We have clients all over. The last search that I filled, the company is based here in Northern Virginia, but the CEO is in Florida, and I recruit all over. I filled another role recently for a company based in Ohio.
Wow, nice. So question, for a person who's maybe looking for a new job, looking for better pay or better benefits or just a better fit, um, why should they contact you instead of just clicking on one of these online resources like Indeed or whatever? Like, what is the difference between dealing with a company like Smith and Deal or just just going online, just looking for something on your own?
Yeah, that's that question is a great one. By default, everybody goes to the job boards to look for a job, and I don't tell people that you shouldn't look at the job boards, but the thing is going to a job board nowadays, depending on your line of work and depending on where you live and where you're looking for. Like for example, if it's a remote job, it's going to be. Let me back up. The one of the biggest challenges in applying online, and I call it cold applying, because unless you know somebody, you're just throwing your resume into a hat, or throwing it into outer space sometimes, because it's a gamble. You're taking a gamble, you're rolling the dice, but there's hundreds of other people, sometimes a couple of thousand people who have applied for that same job, especially if it's remote. So when it comes to remote jobs, people are applying from all over the US and all over the world sometimes for the same job. So when you apply online, the problem becomes competition.
Mm,
Another problem becomes feedback and hearing from somebody, because you're just applying cold. And oftentimes, if you're not the top, the first one of the first candidates that they look at, like maybe even in the first 15 or the first 20, you may never get a look, and you may never ever hear anything back. At the same time, like I said, job boards can be helpful, but a lot of people tend to go to the job boards because it's what they know, and they feel like, you know what, I just lost my job, or I'm looking for a job. I don't even know where the jobs are, so let me go to a job board and look for the jobs, and I got to apply. I can't just sit here, so let me apply online. What I do is, the headhunting part of Smith and Deal and the executive search part. Uh, on a good day, for example, let's say I have a client who contacts me and says, "Hey, Alki, like, we got this job posted on our job board, but we're not seeing the type of candidates that we want. We actually need better candidates. Can you help us find better candidates? And let us show you some of the ones we're getting." They come to me to not deal with the thousands of people they post online. They come to me because they know I'm going to look like stealth. I'm going to look like in stealth mode without making a lot of noise. And I'm going to contact people, some of the people I was talking about before, who are employed, or my networks, or people that I know. And I can talk to a candidate and get them, instead of it taking 30 days, 60, 90, 120. If I have a role that I'm recruiting for actively, my last two roles, I filled them both in 7 days, from first interview to offer in 7 days, because when they come to me, they mean business usually. Now, one search took months to actually start the search, because I wanted to get to know them, and it was for a chief level role. But
mhm.
the difference between the job boards is you may or may not hear anything back, and you may not get any feedback, and it could take forever, yada, yada, yada. With executive search, we get right down to business right away, and my goal is to fill that role as soon as possible. And also, you will get feedback after every interview, what they thought, what they're going to do next, and what they want on you specifically, and I walk them through that. So it's kind of like a high level service. It's MVP service.
Nice. So as far as Smith and Deal, your company specifically, it seems like it's a high demand for uh, various jobs right now, across the board. And I know that's a lot for you to fill all of these positions yourself. So I would assume that Smith and Deal is also searching for talent to work with Smith and Deal. Um, Like, where are you in that process right now, or what type of person are you looking for? If you was trying to find a person to do similar to what you do.
Yep. And let me go back to real quick because I don't want to set your listeners up and your viewers up to think that, oh yeah, give me a call and now I'm blowing up because I can find people jobs. I was saying that if I have an active search, like right now, we don't have an active search. We've got a couple pending right now. If I don't have a live search, the way that I would help people versus them going to the job boards is I help give people the advice that they need to improve their search, but also I can look in my network and pretty much what I do is sell talent. I sell talent or I shop talent around to say, hey, let me see who can use somebody with your background. It doesn't always come back to anything, but that's the other way to the last question. To your new question, honestly, with the number of people in the market right now, the demand for talent, it's high in the sense of there's still people hiring, but for the most part, the supply right now is higher than the demand. There's not enough jobs for the people that are out there, and so
Mm,
when I do get busy, which is what I want to be, I've been a solo operation for years. This year is the first year that I'm looking to hire, administrative assistant who can kind of help with a lot of the first step things, some candidate screens and coordinating interviews and things of that
mhm.
nature. And I'm also looking to add a recruiter at the beginning of next year to do more recruitment so that I can go out and start talking to employers a lot more about what they need and all of that. And when I do get to that place, the type of talent that we look at, you know, smart people, intelligent, diligent, efficient, effective people, people,
Yeah,
and people also who understand business to business, B2B relations and some B2C.
nice, nice. So, man, I really appreciate you coming through on this holiday and talking with me. I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I'm definitely going to have you back. But are there any last words or thoughts that you have or that you want to share with the people, uh, or ways that people can connect with you and Smith Deal? Whatever you want to share with the people, I want to, give you the last word here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And again, thank you for having me, man. So generous. Good to see you. Always good to talk. Always good to chop it up and connect. Um, yeah, for your viewers and your listeners, if you are feeling, unsafe, though you're employed right now and you're thinking, hey, maybe I need to update my resume, contact us. If you are thinking, hey, I need to level up what I'm doing because I'm not earning enough, my compensation's not enough. I need to look for a better type of a situation, or I don't know what that looks like yet. Or if you're, thinking, been thinking about a career change, you know, give us a call or a contact. If you need resume work, or if you're a hiring manager yourself, and you want to add another staffing resource, an expert recruiter, seasoned recruiter, just to bounce some ideas off the type of talent that you've been getting. Maybe you're not getting, the type of talent, or you have a role that's been vacant for a long time, or if you know people who need this. One of the new programs that I'm working on right now is for all the college grads who've come out the last, 4 or 5 years who don't really have clarity around what they went to school for. Or,
Mhm.
some of your listeners and viewers have, a son or a daughter on the couch per se, and, you want to, they're struggling to find an opportunity or even know what they're looking for. I have a career clarity and job search readiness, workforce development program that I'm piloting right now. So, you can your viewers and listeners can contact me for that as well too. So anything and all things job search, resumes, career advice, they can contact me.
No doubt. So listen, if you guys have any questions for Alki Thompson of Smith and Deal, you can leave your questions in the chat. Also, you can definitely visit his website. There's a plethora of resources there. Just go to www.smithdeal, that's Deale, and level up your career search with Smith Deale. Alki, thanks again, man, so much for coming through. I know, you know what I'm saying, we gotta get back to the family reunion festivities and whatnot, and you know what I'm saying, get to this grill action. But thank you so much for again sharing your wealth of knowledge. And this won't be the last time. We definitely gonna have you back on the show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, until next time, this is your boy Chris White signing off. I'm no Republican, Democrat, or Independent. I'm on the Lord's side, period. End of sentence. Peace. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. You see it up in the right-hand corner. You can scan with your camera there, or you can go to @Y Records on YouTube. We'll see you next time. Peace.